So uh, we are taking up with our third session of Veil Iterations. This is a adaptation, a hack of the Veil that I've written a kind of 1.5 to change slightly from the Veil to kind of fit with the way that I run. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and the session that you're watching is part of the Open Hearth Gaming Community. We have probably the largest collection of AP videos for TTRPGs on YouTube. We've got all that on our YouTube channel, and my YouTube channel, of course, has all of this stuff. Though there's links to that and my website that supports all of this that you can check out. We are had a little break because I had to open door the last couple of weeks, but we're taking up now with this session. And last time we did some of the character setup, but we had one player out. We're going to bring that player in. We've got another player that we're hoping will join us in a bit, though, if things happen and we understand that. Joe, I do want to start with this. You had emailed me after that first session, and originally you had the onomastics as very much a very human kind of group. But when you wrote me, you said you had a kind of a slightly different idea on that, a take on that. So why don't you talk with us about what you're thinking with that?
Absolutely. So, one of the things after our session, this happens to me after a session, my mind's going, a million miles an hour, especially after session zeros. And I was trying to think about like what conflict could occur that would cause these iconoclasts to want to kill or destroy, my order and everybody in it, right? Because a lot of what we did in the sort of palette setting was kind of like, I was like, well, how about they're like this? And I'm like, oh, wait, I think I'm bumping up against this palette thing, that palette thing. And so what I kind of thought about was, and Lowell, keep me honest if
Sure.
to my original intent, because it's been a while, but I was thinking in terms of an order. The order was um like sort of scholarly, and interested in seeking knowledge and everything, and that they had stumbled upon the fact through their seeking of and kind of like peering, like exploring the nature of the veil, right? And what that is, that and I'll just cut straight to what you kind of edited it with Lowell, is that they had discovered that there is a element of the veil, maybe a faction or just a piece of it, not the whole veil, but a piece of it that is, um um for lack of a better term, maybe sentient, or has grown beyond its original programming, and that piece of the veil doesn't want anybody to know that. And so that is why they were hunting that faction, or that element of the veil was hunting down, um, and destroying the order. It's why they want to destroy the cybertome or get to the cybertome, because we might envision that there is evidence of such things, and they don't, for whatever reason, they don't want to reveal or have it known that they have, that there is a, that they're, you know I don't know, sentient is the
Mhm.
word that
But I
pop.
like the idea that since we have artificial intelligence, we know that there's something like they have uplifted, they've gained a different
Yeah,
kind of sentience, they've gained a different kind of artificial intelligence that is outside the other bounds. And since we established that AI is not inherently evil, this is something that something has occurred to, and that it has a kind of an independence outside of things, and is a different class of intelligence. And so, what I would suggest is that people like Mercury and others are essentially agents of something that maybe they don't completely understand, but that helps them and gifts them. That is a kind of since we established there are lots of different faiths and things like that, maybe they are their own cult or church or religious group associated with this thing, with these iconoclasts. And we'll think about a name for them. We can call them the iconoclasts, but maybe we want to come up with eventually with a name for what their sort of organization or order is. Does that work for you?
And so I just wanted also I wanted to clarify, like
Sure.
I'm not like I don't necessarily view that as that this faction or element is evil, or anything like that. It's just that they don't want anybody to know. So they're not like killing, they didn't go after the order because they are inherently like, evil. It was really more maybe almost a self-preservation. That was in my
Well,
headspace.
it's self-preservation without checking in whether it needed to. So there's a certain approach there that makes them not necessarily evil, but certainly potentially villainous in the course of
Yeah,
this.
but I do want that to be like open, right? Like
Okay.
I don't want to have it be like we need to battle them and necessarily, right? Like
Right.
I like the idea that it could get really complicated, right?
Okay.
That at I don't want to predefine, but like in my mind when I started, once the idea starts, it starts raveling out into the future, right? Like I
Right.
like the idea of potentially having complicated scenes where it's not so easy to say bad, right?
We will see, whether, one of the hard moves is that they certainly can be pursuing you. Is there any change that you want to make to the traits that you chose
So I
for this
did,
iconoclast?
yeah. So uh so I like the idea of the iconoclast being, I like that the idea that Mercury is an agent, and I do really like that little this idea that there's this kind of small, this sort of cult like thing that has kind of grown up around them. um but I'll throw this out there and we
Sure.
can fix this if nobody likes this, but I had in my head the idea that the actual iconoclasts that are coming after them are like, I imagine in my head that like there's these, that they are this sort of like amalgamation of like cables and wire and computer parts and things that have been infused with the sort of like energy of this element that animates them. um and then as soon as they like did the deed, killed the
Yeah.
person, it just all of a sudden all that's left is just this pile of cable and everything, right? So I had in my head like they might have a mask, but like if you were to pull it off, it's just this sort of like, imagine taking a whole bunch of old, like maybe almost like a pipe cleaner thing, but like imagine all this like
Right.
old cables and wires and twisting them all together to make like a humanoid looking thing, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that sounds good. I like that. And I think that gives a good sense of how we want to deal with that character idea then. Uh, so let me swing back. Uh, we have, I believe, for trigger a start of session move, right? So let's start with that, and then we'll kind of roll into where we are at. So how does that start session move work again?
I've got it locked and loaded, lol, so I can read it for you if you like.
Chip?
At the start of each session, roll plus transform. On a 10 plus, add 2 ticks to the clock, pick a new gift and curse from the changes list, and generate 1 chrysalis. On a 7 to 9, add 1 tick and generate 1 chrysalis. On a miss, add 1 tick to the clock, and that's what happened last session. I missed.
Right.
So let's see if the transformation happens more today. Oh, I missed again.
Yep. Just another a tick on that clock.
Yeah, so I'm on 2 of 4 ticks, and when that clock fills, I increases my transform stat.
Uh, Joe, do you have anything you want to throw out for that entanglement drive question before we get rolling? Or do you want to catch that on the fly a little bit?
Sorry, I was muted.
Sure.
The first thought I had was that I don't know what the third party is. That my initial thought is that perhaps he's in love with a relative of one of the other players, right? So that would probably have to be Cora or Trigger, because if I remember correctly, Ina's an apparatus. So,
right.
So I don't know, but then like the third part, I was thinking in terms of the kind of crux of this is he's hunted and he doesn't want to put other people in danger, but I didn't know how to, so he can't, like, he doesn't feel like he can like lean into that or fulfill that because of that, but that doesn't fit exactly the nature of the entanglements. So I don't know.
Let's I think that's a good starting point. I did put a list of example hearts of Wulin entanglements there that might help too. But I like that idea of you know, wanting to pursue someone, but there is, something concrete, another person that is getting in the way of that. Maybe someone who knows that you're dangerous, and and you're also, like, you popped up less than a year ago out kind of in the real world. And so they may also not approve of you for that reason.
Yeah, maybe it's actually, so I don't know what you guys have established, for so far fully for your significant others and things like that. But if one of you is up to having a significant, like a sibling of some sort, perhaps you're the intent, like you're like, what does one of you know? Did we establish? I can't remember. Did we establish in those sort of bonding things that one of you guys knows something about me?
Yeah, there are a couple of people that have bonds with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna a cheeky thought occurred to me, Joe, but so I thought I'd float this. But seeing as Trigger's parents have already appeared on screen, I was wondering when you suggested that if Ono was having an affair with Trigger's mum.
That's a
That would
possibility.
that would be an entanglement for sure.
Or even to keep it connected to a Trigger, that this is a sister or a cousin, assuming and we can do whatever gender, and maybe because they've heard about you from Trigger, the Trigger's parents are like, do not want you involved with her.
I'm fairly open.
Well, let's have you chew on that. We'll come back to that.
Yeah. And Mike, feel free to float something if you've got an idea or a suggestion, please. I'm not wedded. Like, that was just something that occurred to me that I thought might be interesting and fun.
I like this complex web of Trigger's family that we're building. That
Yes.
I really just want to lean into that, and I'm also kind of thinking, being an empath might have isolated Cora for a while. So if she still has family, she might not be spending a lot of time with them. Knowing how your sister is feeling all of the time is probably not a great thing.
So let's actually go back. We're going to start, and we'll come back to filling in some of those things in a bit. Cora, last time you had a pretty horrific experience with this collapse and so on, and you hit on your fear a few times there, kind of running up that particular line. So you've had this interaction with Trigger and Ina, and we're going to have a chance to pair up again later. But I do want to ask, like, what do we see you doing to decompress or recover or process that afterwards?
I think she paints. I think it's one of those things where to get the images out of her head, she tries to render them in some form of art. She's not a fantastic artist, but it's she might just have one of the things she has set up in her little apartment is an easel with some paints, and so she tries to paint the things she's seen that were horrific and terrible, but putting a stronger positive spin on them to try and like, okay, this was a dangerous and terrible situation in an environment, but she paints rescue workers doing heroic things, and that's that sort of thing.
And as you are doing that in, like, do you have like a loft? Do you have an apartment? Do you have a rented maker space? Like, where do we see you actually?
I think it's a one-room apartment.
Okay. So we do see that around you, and you know, the veil is always with you. You have to kind of clear it out a little bit so that you can focus on the painting, so you're not getting that overlay. But I do think that you establish that your character is interested in his psychic powers and psionics and those kinds of things. And when those things pop up in a mimetic like nexus, you know, you've got an alert that pops up, and you will see that pop up. And you can see that there's a conversation going on that's starting to blossom. You know, you can see that the attention ratings and things are ticking up on it, and you can see how it's starting to spread across, you know, a whole host of different social media. That building collapsed because some kind of experimental psychic escaped and was hiding there and let loose their powers.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that that's sort of the baseline of the meme, and then the undercurrent that's under it is definitely like the anxiety about psychics and the dangers that they pose, and are they real, and you can see that starting to spread out in your network. So what would you do?
I think because my fear is pretty close to being spiked, that Cora was already having a difficult time painting, and this is a welcome distraction, even though it's awful. So I think she just starts digging into the details. She's trying to find like a primary source stating that it was some kind of empath or psychic. How much of this is just hearsay? How much of this is just people's anxiety latching onto a popular target for such a thing in times of crisis?
Yeah. So this is Lift the Veil. I think this is you searching for information, trying to find things out. And what would you like to roll this with? Is this fear-based, or do you think another drive is kind of pushing you?
Would I have seen this kind of public reaction before?
You tell me. We've established that you know some other psychics. We've established that there have been some tensions about the psychics, but we haven't like explored that too much. So you have some room to define how you want to play that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it has to be fear. I kind of was thinking that if this is a common occurrence, that I could justify rolling it with sad, but I think the initial response is still, oh no, I was there. Like, is there a chance that somebody might try and attribute this to me?
Yeah. So yeah, let's have you roll with +1.
Come on, no whammies. That's a 10.
That is a 10. So with the Lift the Veil, on a hit, we'll tell you something new and interesting about what you're asking about. You're going to ask questions, and you can either ask a follow-up question, or you can establish a detail. You can tell us something about what we're seeing. And I think that you are checking through your network of influence and so on. And it definitely feels like this is a manufactured reaction. Like this has been fed to a set of influencers. The meme, of course, has been engineered to be slightly different amongst them, but there's enough commonalities that it says to you that this is a constructed mimetic attack, and that there is somebody clearly turning and shaping this to cause unease and anxiety in the area. Does that feel like a fair answer?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to ask a follow-up, or would you like to declare a detail?
I think I'm going to ask a follow-up, which would be, is there any pattern to the stories and the influences that would potentially point me towards some kind of source? Is it possible to determine who might be doing this?
I think that you can track back through various signs and informations and things like that to essentially a corporate mimetic engineer that this person, we'll call them Axiom, that's what they do, is this kind of thing, and the speed with which this got upped, got started and started to run, speaks to them being involved, and just other little pattern bits that you've seen kind of run back through, because I assume that kind of like the idea of knowledge and information and mental processing control is probably in your wheelhouse, given your empathic background. And you've got a name, and that's a lead that you can concretely follow up on. Does that seem fair?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's come to Trigger. What are you doing in the aftermath?
That's a really good question. Where did we exactly leave off? I mean, I think that Trigger's parents were being taken care of after having been injured in the collapse. I remember Aina was severely injured, and that was what was occupying Trigger's attention when Whiskey sent them a message, which they swiped,
Yes,
inadvertently or not.
and you have not had a contact back from Whiskey since then. It has gone dead silent. Ina is recovering from their damage. Your parents are in that chaotic, like there are local emergency services. And again, these are the kinds of things where these are different local services. It's a complex web of them. They help you out, but it takes time. It is post-scarcity, but you don't always have enough time. And so that is part of what is going on with them, is them trying to get settled into a place and probably falling back on their family networks to get a place to crash. So what would you be doing?
Well, I think last time I really like the beginning of session role with the miss, and I think that represents the transformation impacting Trigger. And we see last time we saw Trigger getting up from collapsing on the street. I think this time Trigger returns to themselves sitting on the train, staring out the window, and has no idea where they're going or what they're doing.
Yeah,
and
like you're looking up and the stuff is going past. It's hard to focus. You don't know where you are on which line. You're trying to like see which color, but it's not catching for you.
No, and remember, I think we established last session that the trains were kind of like almost like flying caterpillars.
Yeah.
Like they're like these segmented kind of quasi metal natural or like natural material that kind of undulates. Like we were thinking the Avengers movie, those beasts that fly through the city, the streets
Yeah,
of New York
different
carrying the
air
aliens, like that
corridors
sort of.
of those. Yeah. And so there is a thing where you feel the kind of the jerk and stop, and you look around and there's nobody else on your car, and the door is open, and you'll hear end of line, end of line, end of line.
I think a trickle of fear goes down Trigger's spine as they get up slowly from their seat and head toward the exit. Um,
And you'll walk out onto what is clearly like, this is an area that is under reclamation and reconstruction. Like there are lots of, great big building, machines that are up on buildings and processing, but of course it's all shut down for the night. But you're kind of in that on this cold platform there. And what do you do?
I think I'm gonna assess and try and get my bearings, find some clue as to where I am and what's going on, and then maybe I might. And when I look at my display, because I'm assuming that we have access to that
Yeah,
at
you
all
always
times
have
through our
that
neurochip.
yeah. The neurochip gives you that around you.
What time of day is it?
It's night.
It's night.
Yeah.
Okay. Have I got any messages from Rob, Bert, or my
Yeah,
my
there's
parents?
probably a just wanted to tell you that we're registering this as a mental care day, given what's occurred with your parents. But we're really looking forward, emphasize bold, to seeing you tomorrow.
Trigger sighs and refocuses on their external surroundings, and I'm gonna roll to assess
Sure.
if that's cool with you. So it's just, is it just the 2d6, or we use a stat here,
Yeah,
don't
we
we?
always use a state unless it otherwise says. So what state do you think is dominating right now?
I think I'm spiking out on fear.
Okay.
So that's a spike. So remind me, is that
So
plus
right now you're going to
two
roll
now?
with a +1.
Okay. Yeah. So roll with a normal stat, and then from here on afterwards, I've
Yeah.
got a +2.
You've got
and
got a choice. I'll tell you how that works here.
Gotcha. All right. Let's roll it. The assess. So that's a 9.
Okay, so that is a 9. So you have one hold for that assess, and you can spend that to ask a question, take
Mhm.
+1 forward, or reveal a detail if you want to tell me what you see.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question.
Okay.
I'm gonna spend a what is it here that is familiar but makes me feel a strong sense of dread?
I think that at the end, you're like on a platform. Like imagine this is that kind of late night. You've gotten into the train station to the platform. The lights are on. There's nobody in the offices. You're the only one there. And you kind of look down one end and look down the other. And down one end of this platform, you can see at the end that the veil is glitching. That you can see it glitching, and and like you're seeing other shapes and things like that over there, and you look at it and like your hackles go up. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what happens when you spike out is from this point forward, you have two choices. At any time, you can go, I'm going to roll with a different state other than fear. I'm going to lean into that. You roll that with a -2, and then you clear all of those spikes in fear. Otherwise, you will roll with fear, but at a 0. It'll be a 0 for going forward, and each time you'll take off one of those spikes from it. So you've got a choice of how you want to play that. We'll come back to you in a moment, I think. Oh no, the question I started people out with last time, and I'm going to put to you this time, is what do you do to get by? What do you do to gig? What do you do to survive? Like, what do we see you doing regularly?
Yeah, I like the idea that he has a little food cart, like because I like the idea that he travel, like when he gets kind of where he has to go under and resurface somewhere else because the iconoclasts get close, that he just is, he does cooking, right? So I like the idea that he has this little um I kind of like the idea of, it's almost like a hand cart, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not high tech, right? You know, and so I think you'd see him, um he wheels that out to somewhere and sets it up in a in a space, and that he sometime, like I guess maybe in the morning, and then starts preparing, you know I don't know
Are
what.
you doing like a noodles and soup? Are you doing a little fry thing? Are you doing a
I
stir
will tell
fry?
you, noodle cart is what I wanted to do, but I also didn't want to be like, oh yeah, of course, noodle cart, Mr.
That's it's
so
super easy to do. You just need a like a high heat skillet. You've got sort of continuous water boiling. You've got a little thing for turning out the noodles. You got some stuff to throw into it. It's compact enough that you can
yeah.
do that very easily.
Yeah, so I like the idea that like he probably starts his day, that he goes down somewhere where he can like buy, like there probably is somewhere where people have like get some food, right? Some
Mhm.
the raw materials, whether it's fish or something, right? And then he goes out and sets up his cart, and he prepares the noodles and the other stuff.
Let me ask you this: we have a post scarcity society, and we have like a sense that there's greenery and vegetation and things like that. Do you think that we have a lot of fresh vegetables and things like that, or are we still in a world where those things are processed and supplied, and it's more common for you to go and get a plastic packet of freeze dried edamame and stuff?
Let me throw this out,
Sure.
and you guys weigh in and see if this does not jive with the vision. But like, I like the idea of post scarcity, but sometimes you can have post scarcity, but it's not like abundance, right? So I like the idea of, if you need to eat, there's food, right? But it's not high quality maybe, or it's like it's actually the stuff that you would get a little packet, and you'd throw it in there. So I kind of like the idea that he is finding that he's finding fresh things.
Yeah. Little
And
little early morning ghost markets, people who are
yeah,
harvesting from places, bringing stuff up from down below, rooftop gardens and that kind of thing.
yeah. And so that's why you can actually make a living doing that in a post scarcity, because it's real food, it's fresh, right? It's different. So
So yeah, let's have you make a roll to gig. Let's see how this is going for you right now.
all right.
What do you
Is
want to
that
roll that with?
I I want to roll it with peace.
Okay.
So do I mark it every time I roll?
So yeah, you put, as soon as you roll, you'll put a checkbox in the side with peace. And then if at any point you roll with mad, you put a check in mad and take a check off of peace.
Perfect. I think I like the idea that this is a point where he's most at peace with life, right? When he's in this moment. So all right, that's a 0, right? So
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's boxcars.
Wow.
Look at you. Do you want to say anything? Because you rolled a 6 or less, by the way, Jonathan, on your starter session, don't forget to mark XP for that. So Ono, like, what is it that makes this day, this morning, this shift, this finding, your veggies and doing your prep and then going out, what is it that makes it click for you?
I think maybe as he's going through his routine, he finds, I think he has a little bit of like as he like follows kind of the path and routine, he knows that there are places where there's things growing, right? And so I just think he's found maybe there's some special like peppers that have been on a little vine somewhere, that he walks by that were ripe that day. And I think, I like the idea that maybe as a result of that building collapsing, maybe there's a like sunlight or something that's filtering through to a space that wasn't there before, right?
You're in that neighborhood. It's a good place to go right now because there are lots of emergency workers and stuff around, and a lot of the infrastructure has kind of gotten shook up. So I think you're doing that selling, but I think that as you are doing that, and there are the classic, we've got the floating view screens with the news feeds and things that are both in the outside world, but are also probably popping up in your version of the veil. I think as you're doing that, another couple more sales, you'll look up and you will see sort of coming out of the wreckage of the building from yesterday. You'll see Cora, Trigger, and Ina, and pretty banged up. And you kind of realize you hadn't, like, what were they doing here? 3 people that you knew. What do you do?
Yeah, I think maybe he will I think maybe he'll kind of close up his cart, and he'll jog over to see them and see if they're
Oh no, this is on the video screen. This is from yesterday.
Oh, it's up on the video screen. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought they were closed. Yeah, I think I think he's concerned. They are concerned. That the maybe I'll stick with that. They are going to, he'll maybe close up his cart or their cart and maybe stow it, off to the side there, and then try to find where they're at, based on what he can see in the feed.
So I think you can kind of check and you have some contacts, and I think that you'll see that at least on your contacts, Cora is active. I think because Cora is involved in the process of tracking down this information, and you can see their icon pop up. And I think Cora, for you'll see Ono kind of pop up on your like network of things, and you can see that you're both active and within reasonably close distance of one another there. So do you call Cora, or do you go track her down? Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll call. Or if it's like, I don't know, is it calling or is it just is it messaging? Is it like, I maybe I'll shoot a message out saying, what's happened? Are you guys okay?
Yeah, get a little ping pop up there, Cora. As you kind of looking at this name Axie that you've gotten, and then Ono pops up.
And I think if you get the typing notification for a bit, and then you just get back a wall of rant about look at all these people talking about all this stuff, but nobody has any real facts, and she's angry at this point and just blasting you with information. And then, hey,
yeah, and they'll message back, do you need help? What can I do? Where are you?
I'm at home. Yeah, I need to go and talk to someone, and I probably shouldn't do it by myself. Do you fancy a walk?
Absolutely. Let me. I think they'll say that let me stow my cart, and I'll be there as soon as I can.
Okay, and then Cora just starts packing up stuff.
Okay, getting your gear together. Let me first come
Mhm.
back to Trigger, and then we'll come back to you, Cora. Trigger, you see that glitch start moving towards you. Slow movement, but you can start to see that it's picking up space as the glitch is rushing towards you.
Okay, I need to get out of here. I start backing away, and I'm looking for a way out.
You're on the side. Unfortunately, like the doors are closed, so you're gonna have to like jump down and like clamber down down to a ground level here. Kind of a dangerous piece of physicality.
It doesn't look promising. Like I move, I go down to the look over the edge, like down the ladder, and I'm gonna see if I can find a way to get down that's not gonna kill me.
Sure.
So I'm rolling with fear here.
Okay. So you're gonna roll the +0. Let's have you roll
Yep.
risk with a
Yep.
+0.
Is it risk or was it another assess?
Oh, I think this is risk.
This
I
is
think you can
risk.
find a
Okay.
spot to get down, but now the question is, can
Okay.
you do it?
Can I do it? All right. Yeah. And I've got cyber legs, so which are power enhanced. So
Do
you
you want to
tell
mark
me
those
if
for a
that helps.
+1?
Yeah. Once they're marked, can you
They
clear
clear at the
them?
beginning of each session.
Okay. I should do that. Let me clear that. Or is it that you spend it and then you clear it? Sorry, this is technical and
Oh, so if you use them last time, you clear at the start
yeah,
of session, and now you
yeah.
can spend them again.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll leave them ticked in the keeper and then I'll clear the box when I spend them. Cool. All right. So I'm rolling risk at with the 0. Well, with a +1. So I
Yeah.
will spend those legs. Yeah. Done. Cool. Here we go. No, that's another 6.
And
So I'll mark XP.
I think you come crashing down right onto your face. And like you feel your face hit and kind of blood start to come out of your nose, and you look up and you see all the people in the train car who are staring at you because you clearly like fired off your cyber legs in this train car and smashed up against something and now fallen back down. You look, it's daylight outside. That was purely a nightmare. And you've got blood running down your face, and these people are staring at you. And
Oh
there's
wow.
no "Are you okay?" It's people moving away and recording video.
Oh. So like Trigger wipes the blood off their face and shakes their head a bit to clear. And I think that I think this is I think can I see where I am now? Like
Yeah.
do
You
I
like
recognize it?
recognize the area that you're in. You're on a route that you're almost to a stop that and like if you wait a few seconds, it comes to a stop at one of those platforms and the doors open if you want to flee off the platform. Oh.
Yeah, Trigger like mumbles apologies and kind of you know covers their face a little bit and heads for the door.
And I imagine when you get out onto the platform and start to fade into the crowd, that's when you'll get the ping from Akora and Ono. And so we'll wrap the three of you together here in a moment. Let's take our first break. We'll take our 10 and then we'll come back. Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So let's say that we pull the three of you together. Trying to think which of you has your act together more than the others.
Well, I was going to say that Trigger would call, like, I think is desperate to
Yeah.
see their friends.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think you'll definitely get to the question is sort of where. So Cora, uh, where do the three of you meet? Is it a safe house? Is it a cafe? Is it an industrial park? Is it something else? Where would you center everyone?
Yeah, I think there's probably a coffee shop downstairs from where Cora lives, so that's where she gets everybody to meet, is somewhere there in a cafe.
So absolutely head down to this coffee shop. What makes this particular coffee shop unique? Uh, oh no. What is like this coffee shop is like no other because of what?
I think it's because they use real coffee, not like some sort of synthetic type thing.
Yeah, not using cha or street coffee or a blend. They actually have beans that are grown. It's a little bit pricey, but you've got people there. Yeah, and actual clean filtered water as well. Now I imagine, yeah, please.
Can I adjust the location to the roof then?
Okay, absolutely. So we've got a place that does got their roasting and all of that stuff, and there's probably below ground processing that's going on, but you've got real beans. You're up on there, rooftop cafe, and it Cora, you kind of pulled them together, but I think that Trigger is the one who is most freaked out when they arrive. So
This is messed up.
oh no, Cora, you're there when Trigger arrives. Go ahead.
What the heck happened to you?
looks bad, huh?
Is it? I mean, you didn't get that injury yesterday.
No, just now. I woke up on a train. It's getting worse.
You look like you've been hit by a train.
And Trigger covers their face, like, don't look at me, I'm hideous.
Like, I think maybe Ono will put their arm around you and lead you to like to sit down, and that they'll help try to, like, clean you up a little bit, like, and see if you need, just to try to, help you calm down a little bit.
Yeah, Trigger's shaking a little bit and it's trying to put on a brave face, but they're clearly shaken. And I think lol, could we roll like, I think this is kind of like a point, it feels like, where Trigger is feeling like they can't keep up, like things are getting out of control, and they're not sure they can keep up this facade, and they're about to admit it. And does
you wanna
that
roll
sound
inner
like
conflict?
an inner conflict?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure, absolutely.
I'd love to.
So
Yeah.
so clear a tick from fear and roll with a +0.
Okay. Because, like, I'm thinking that if they succeed in this, like, if it's like, depending on the outcome of that role is how much they confess and or admit to face up to this.
Sure.
Third 6 in a row.
You are rolling 2 dice, right?
I am. That
So
was a 1
now-
and a 5.
So now, right now, you're sitting on a 6, and you'll get to mark XP. Now,
Yep.
you can burn a bond,
Yes.
take that up to a 7 if you want.
What is remind me again, what is the outcome on a 6?
That's a hard move.
Okay. Okay. I think I'll spend a bond here because I'm with my friends,
Yeah.
and I'm looking for their help.
Okay, so which bond do you want to spend there?
I'll spend one with, I think Ono just took Trigger aside and put their arm around. I'm gonna spend one with Ono because I'd like to keep one with Korra in reserve, but I think it also really fits the fiction well. So I'll spend one with Ono.
Would there be an option for Ono to do help, which wouldn't burn a bond, but just give them a? Is there a help? Can they do
I
help?
think there is a help, but I think right now for this particular situation with the inner conflict, I don't think it's necessarily appropriate. So you have
So
a
it's a
choice.
7.
Yeah. So it's a 7, which kind of gives you a choice. I assume you don't want to withdraw from the scene. And you can't mark additional spike because you're already spiked out. So you have a choice. You can kind of overreact to make the situation worse here, or you can lose one of your form of potential, which I believe is Chrysalis.
So I don't have any potential, any Chrysalis yet. So
what do we see you like? How do the others know that you are kind of cracking up?
I think like, I think Ono sees, like, feels Trigger accept the comfort initially, but then, like, suddenly throws their arm off and stands up and starts, starts, pacing around agitatedly, and starts turns around and shouts at Ono. And where were you? My parents' building collapsed. What were you doing? Why weren't you there, Ono?
I think Ono, they recognize that Trigger is wound up. It's triggered. And they try to stay, calm. I kind of like the idea that maybe they have a little some herbs or something that, like, calm and tries to get them to, you're upset, where I was, where I wasn't isn't the point. a terrible thing has happened to you today, a terrible thing has happened to your family today, but people are safe now, and now, you know, take this. It will help. It will help you. It will help bring you calm.
Yeah, and Trigger brushes it aside. It wasn't today, Ono. It was yesterday. Today, I don't know. And like turns to look, moves away to look out over the city or wherever the
Yeah, and I think Cora, and maybe to a lesser extent Odo, you'll see that like Trigger came in and maybe was about to like talk openly about something, but then shut down. You feel like that steel doors kind of go shut there. So let's come to our empath. What's your reaction to this exchange and response here?
So I think I was probably picking up a coffee order at the counter and come back and hand one to Ono, and then move over to Trigger and hand one over. And distracting Trigger worked yesterday, so I think I would try the same tactic and just ask, like, how are your parents?
he says, I don't know. I mean, I saw them, I spoke to them.
They're safe. That's all that matters for now, right?
Yeah, but where are they gonna live?
We can sort that out. There'll be somewhere. There's always places to live. And come and sit down and we'll clean up your face a bit.
I think
And if you'll come with me, I'll pour some water into a glass and just dab a napkin in it and just try and clean up your.
I think they'll kind of calm you down a little. I think you will still see
Yeah.
Cora, that you can tell that the vibes you're getting off of Trigger are, I mean, you can feel the fear. That is the dominant emotion running for them right now.
And I think once Trigger comes a little bit, he like kind of looks apologetically at Ono, but doesn't say anything more. Like, just like there's a bit of guilt there, but they're still too upset to voice anything.
And if I can bridge that, if the herbs are still out somewhere, I'll just reach across the table and move them in front of Trigger.
Nice. So a little bit of calm. We see that montage of you sitting together, probably some awkward conversation before. Cora, what is it that you tell them? Because that's kind of why you called Ono here, and now you've got Trigger with you. What is it that you're telling them?
It wasn't an accident, the building. There was, I mean, we were there, right, Trigger, and there was this gap, like part of the building was just missing. They're saying that there's all kinds of theories online, but there's no concrete evidence, and it looks like somebody is trying to pin it on empaths, and she will make meaningful eye contact with Ono. It's
Yeah,
this
I think Ono will, when you say that, Ono will like in the, you know, connect to the you know, to the feed and to see what you're you know, what you're talking about. And you know, I think and you guys maybe established this, like my feed, like you don't see me looking at my feed, right? Like, that's how it works. Like, it's in my, other than maybe you see my eyes flickering, you know, you can see a person's eyes flickering, like you can tell they're looking at something else. So while you're talking, you can see that they are that they're connected and the feed, and they're looking at what is being said online, and they kind of frown. You could tell, and that is that I agree with you. This does not feel right. It's concerning. I wasn't there, and looks at Trigger. I understand I was not there, but no empath did this.
I tracked all of the chatter and all of the influences and tried to find out where it was coming from. It looks like it was coming from somebody called Axiom. It's a corporate entity. Have you heard of them?
I think general knowledge you would know is Axiom kind of check is an independent memetic engineer.
I only know a little, but perhaps it's worth pursuing somewhat.
Yeah, we should go see them. This isn't right.
You see, Trigger refocus their drift a little bit, but they refocus and they're like, now see like clearly, and Cora would know this like from the way that they're feeling that that Trigger's latching onto this and says, yes, we have to find them and make them stop. Let's go now. We need to find them and stop them from spreading these lies, and find out why would someone want to destroy this building.
All right, Cora will absolutely stand down the rest of her coffee. Let's go. Oh no, you in?
Yeah, true.
I'm in. Are we sure direct confrontation is the right path?
Do you have a better plan?
I do not, but I will support what you want to do.
Trigger's already walked off towards the exit.
Direct conflict it is.
So we're going to do that wipe, and we find ourselves in another part of the city, a little higher end entertainment area, more neon. There's the sharp smell of kind of cleanser and disinfectant around here that's used. You'll see that there are sweeper machines that go and keep everything looking sparkling behind the veil, because sometimes stuff leaks through. And this is a place where it gets some tourist dollars from other sections of the city. And you found out that Axiom generally works out of, oh, got something in the eye. Sorry. Hang on 1 second.
I had to resist the urge to say, that's your finger. Which is what I normally tell my kids.
Okay, wild eyelash or something. So besides my finger, it was a wild eyelash. Chrome, high end, those kinds of smells. It's super dry here. The vegetation is exquisitely controlled. In a lot of other places, the vegetation that we've talked about kind of grows wild. Here, it's manicured, kept in straight lines, up and down. And the place that Axiom operates out of is effectively a sports club. It's a high-end cyberpunk sports bar. It's a walk down, multi-level, multi-screen, constant video inputs and analysis and talking heads and betting and all of those kinds of things going on here, as well as being a club. Oh no, what's it when you in this area when you see this place, the sports palace and this area? What's another thing that we see here on screen that kind of tells us something else about our location or our world?
I think maybe, how about maybe that, like, the advertisements and things that are being advertised are significantly higher end.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a big billboardish, like electronic billboardish sort of thing for like moon cruises or something, or things of that nature. Lots of stuff around be who you want to be, and have it be like where they can like alter their appearance and things like the what I would imagine the next like level of plastic surgery type would be, where you can just kind of
body alterations, body mods,
Yeah.
sculpting, all of that kind of thing. And I imagine for you, actually, you get less push of advertisements here because these Blitferts and things, they analyze your socioeconomic status. And if you don't match up to their level, they're not broadcasting to you. They're pulling from other places and not serving up those ads for you. Jonathan, what's another thing that we see on screen here, either about the people or the physicality or the area?
It's really interesting. Like a sports bar in a post scarcity world. Nothing's coming to mind at the
Okay,
moment.
sure,
Sorry, Lowell.
absolutely. Cora, when you go and you kind of scope out the bar and take a look at it, what's something that you see that you spot that catches your eye here?
In the bar,
Yeah.
I think there is a sign behind the bar that says something like "Stay out of my head," and is like an anti-empath sentiment kind of statement, but it's not overt.
Yeah. Simply pick up on it's there. It's loud here. But there's a suite of menus that pop up when you come in about, turning the volume, what you want to watch, what you want to focus in on. You have to pay a little fee to take the noise level down so you can watch one particular thing. Otherwise it's kind of blaring through here. And you've got an ID on Axiom. You see he is, there's a corner table that he's operating out of. He has built in full VR, AR headset. That's probably, a work device as much as anything. And there are a couple of people around him. As he's sitting there, he's chatting and clearly multitasking. What do you want to do, Cora?
I have a terrible plan.
Okay.
I'm gonna just nudge the other two and point out where Axiom is, and I'm gonna walk right up to him and introduce myself. Hi, I'm Cora Waterford. These are my associates, Ono and Trigger. I'm
I think as you come up, as you start to do that, I think there is one of the people kind of stands up from the the table to kind of put themselves in position there, that if any shit goes down, that they are making themselves known. You'll realize that, this guy's a heavy. There's a couple of you who are clearly associates, and there's one person who you can tell just by the blank that you're getting. They're not a real person. They're like an infovore. They're a projection, a mechanical, like a brain box with a hollow thing that's projected out. And Axiom will look up at you, clearly runs some things, and says, "What does a circus freak want with me?"
I'm a performer, Mr. Axiom. I am looking to advertise.
I don't do advert work. My work is much more higher end and cutting edge.
Well, precisely. People are surrounded by adverts, aren't they? Information coming at them all of the time. A more subtle approach is needed to get people to try something new.
I'm listening.
Well, this is your area of expertise. How would you get people to come to a show? How do you get people to listen to you?
Puts his hand up and he says, "That's a consultation. Do you want to pay my consultation fee?"
I think at this point, Trigger kind of speaks up and says, "Come up, Cora. We don't need to talk to this guy. We just need to punch him in the face."
Or how do you react for that before I check with Ono how they react to that?
I kind of want to not react to that. I want to be very focused on Axiom himself. I want to see how he's going to react.
Ono, what about you?
At least on the inside, they're rolling their eyes a little bit on the inside. Maybe mildly on the outside. I know that they're for flavor, but like if I have the encrypted jamming interface, right, as one of my cyber things, does that allow them to jam what this person is doing? What that would do?
You could attempt to do that. It's essentially, you want to try and enforce your will on the area, right?
Yeah, especially, like, I guess what I'm thinking is they want to kind of cut off Axiom, what they're doing.
Okay,
that
is neutralize, because
neutralize.
you are trying to take away an advantage.
Okay.
So that's a fairly aggressive move. So mark that cyberware, because you're marking it to give yourself physical positioning to do the attack in this unusual way.
I promise I will fill my cyber stuff in shortly.
Okay. And what do you want to roll that with?
I'm gonna roll with fear, because Ono is concerned that this is getting out of hand very quickly, and wants to kind of dampen, like so that people don't know, like,
you would like to de-escalate this.
So whether neutralize is a good for that, we'll see.
With a +1.
Thank goodness for +1.
Okay, so that is a 7. So that gives you 2 hold. For 2 hold, you can jam that signal. If that's what you want to do, it takes 2 hold to take away an advantage.
That's what I want to do.
Okay. And I think that you will do that. And I think that when that happens, you'll see him grab his things, and you'll see the other figure who is seated steps, like glides up. They were in the chair and then they're up, and they jam their hand into your chest, and you'll feel a pulse of electricity, and you're going to mark 2 harm as this infovore lets loose a shock into you. Now, Cora, what do you do? Axiom is grabbing his goggles. You've got a side of beef in front of you with weapons, potentially. You've got this infogore guy who's stepped up and has attacked Ono. What do you want to do?
She's angry, and Trigger's already said we're going to punch this guy somehow. I want Mike the player wants information out of this person, but right now I just want to take out frustration on somebody.
Absolutely.
I am going to try and slip past the bigger guy to get at Axiom.
Okay. So are you pulling a weapon? Are you just using your fists? What's your goal here?
For the minute, she won't pull a weapon. She's just going to try and use her smaller size and quick movements to get around them.
So sure, that actually seems to me like, so there's 2 ways to do this. One is if you're going over the table to attack, we would do this as neutralized. That's one way to read this. The other way to read this is right now risk to move yourself over into position such that you could, like, on the next move to an ultimatum or move to a neutralized from there. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think what I want to do is ultimately I want to de-escalate the situation by threatening Axiom. So I want to get past the bigger guy.
So yeah, that feels like a risk then.
And I will draw a weapon.
Okay. What do you draw? What does it look like?
I have on the Gear and Cybernetics sheet, I picked up thermal mini blades.
Okay.
So she just pulls a small knife from out of her from under her jacket.
Okay.
And like I said, tries to slip past this larger person.
Perfect. What do you want to roll risk with?
Mad.
Okay. Let's have you roll that.
Which is only a +0. But we'll see. Oh no, hang on.
There was a lot of dice.
Yeah, there were things.
You should re-roll that.
I will re-roll it. 11.
Look at that. So, like, you do it amazingly. So what do we see happen? We hear the sound of all the things. We've got, the kind of neon lights. We're in the club. He's back behind this big table, with the wraparound seating. It's big beefcakes in front of you. What do you do?
So I think if an attack is happening, the beefcake perhaps move towards Cora, and she just slips under his grasp, and she places like her back on the table, and then spins her entire body around, so she ends up next to Axiom with the knife at his throat.
Perfect. We'll come to the ultimatum in just a second. The bouncer guy, his bruiser doesn't know what happened. Trigger.
Yes.
What do you do?
Well, I think seeing Cora duck under and go for Axiom, and I'm assuming the beefcake is gonna try and prevent that.
It's gonna be turning around to try and grab Cora.
So I think Trigger makes good on his threat. They're good on their threat, sorry. And tries to punch the beefcake in the face.
So this is neutralized. Are you drawing any kind of weapon, or is it just fists?
No, this is just fists. but
Okay.
Trigger is unnaturally strong,
That's
and
right.
their fists do +1 harm and messy.
Okay.
Ugh.
But I think I'm rolling with mad here.
Okay.
So I'm going to clear my I'll do that after I roll.
Yeah.
But
You'll clear all your fear,
I'm
but you're rolling this with a
at
-2.
-2. Yeah. I can't seem to put that modifier in the let me check. No, it's typing something really weird. Are you able, Lol, are you able to do -2 or
Yeah, I just
in,
click on the add finishing touches.
I got it. I just clicked the button instead of trying to type
Yeah.
and type it. All right, here
Yeah.
we go. Neutralize.
So
That's 0. I rolled a 0.
so I think your fists come up to swing at this guy. And you realize in that moment that this guy has wired reflexes, like, and you can see that as things. And he turns and he grabs you and he flings you across the room, and just absolutely fly into a set of screens. There's a crashing sound as you go into that. You're going to mark 2 harm as you get the wind knocked out of you. That's still kind of shake it off at the end of the scene, but there's plastic embedded in your back right now, and you are laying at the foot, and you have drawn the attention of the house at that point. Does that feel like a fair hard move there?
Sounds perfect. On
Okay.
rolling of the 0, I think anything goes.
Yeah. Now, mechanically wise, if you had armor works a little bit like it does in Force in the Dark, that you can mark a box of armor to negate 2 harm. So just to mention that as a thing. You can save that for later. You can mark it now, however you want to do that.
I'll mark that now. I'm wearing a Trigger's wearing a stylish nanofiber jacket with
Okay.
its 1 armor. So
Yeah.
I think the plastic tears that.
Yeah. Hits that, absorbs the impact, but so you won't mark any harm.
No.
Oh no. Let's come back to you. What are you doing?
So I imagine that I um I got not I'm imagining when that happened, I got knocked back and I'm sit up and I see this deteriorating tremendously, right? So
Kind of gone. If they're rails, it's gone off of those
not
rails.
only are we getting our butts kicked a little bit by these guys, but the house is about to step in.
Yeah. However, Cora does have a knife to the throat of the guy, so that could turn around.
So I've got 2 thoughts in my head.
Sure.
One's gonna piss Cora off. But
But
I
you're the
was
one who started this, so just remember that. Okay.
Okay. So thought number 1
Sure.
was I'm thinking about using my asylum move, which if I hit hard enough, I can take us all to my sanctuary. But I think that's going to piss Core off because they are at the moment of probably feeling like they're going to get what they want. Like right at this, they probably feel like they're in a very good good spot, while the rest of us.
Here's the
But
thing: if
It's good character drama.
yeah. On the other hand, if you hold off, if you can always do that if Cora flubs it.
true. Um,
Depends on what the personality of Ono is. Like, what do you think Ono would do here?
that's so in my mind, I saw them as being, a lover, not a fighter, more on that side of things. So I'm on the ground. You're on the ground. I
Do you,
think
do you want me to have Cora resolve her action and then see what you want to do?
if you're willing to do that, I
I'm
don't have-
absolutely. Initiative does nothing in here, so I think it's fair to say, hey, I want to see what happens. So,
Yeah.
Cora, what is it you say to Axiom to what is the demand and the threat that you're making here for ultimatum?
Well, I think the threat is unstated but clear. I have a knife to his throat. I think he
Okay.
can feel that. And I'll say, right, let's call off your goons and have a proper conversation. And
Okay,
I'll roll with Matt again.
let's see you roll.
Come on. 7.
So that is a 7. So I think that they will say, simmer down, call your boys off, have them set back. I thought we were having a conversation, a business conversation, and you got belligerent. So
Fair enough. That's on us.
and you see him raise up his hand and like do a gesture essentially to like the barkeep and the bouncer to just chill. And he says, now take the knife away, take the chair across from me at the table, and let's start again.
Look to the other two and the position that they're in. I don't think that's a good idea.
If you want to talk, that's how we're going to do it. I'm not talking with a knife at my throat. I've called down my guys. I'll tell them to sit. Gestures to the one to sit a little bit away and the bouncer to sit a little bit away.
Trick.
I want to push just a little bit harder. Just to apply some pressure to the blade. Like, you might not be in the best negotiating position, Mr. Axiom.
Says, if you hurt me more than you already have with that delightful knife, I can guarantee that you and your companions will not be walking out of here alive. You wanted to de-escalate things. Let's de-escalate things and converse. You're not here for advertisements. So scoot over there and let's talk plain.
All right. Jeez. All right. And she just gets that adrenaline rush, that like the sickness that comes after doing something really scary.
You scoot, and there is that moment that you see, like he puts his hand on the table to kind of go get his drink, and there is that little, just that little tremor of relief that you have done that. And he'll gesture to you, Ono, and Trigger, and points to chairs. So what is it that you want, Miss Waterford?
There's been a lot of conversation online today on in the Vale about the attack that happened yesterday. And it seems to all have come from you.
I am a nexus of certain things, yes.
Did you do this yourself, or is it a contract?
He looks at you and he says, I don't do anything for free. Now I understand, Mr. Trigger, is it? That your family, I'm seeing, was present at the attack, so that makes sense that you might be upset about this. So I get the rationale.
Tell us who is behind the attack.
I have frankly no idea. I will tell you. Of course, you understand that I'm not going to breach client confidentiality. But I can tell you that there are corporate interests at play that are interested in utilizing that incident as a mimetic anchor for new campaigns of anti-psychic let's see, public sentiment. There's a new economy that is coming, an economy of fear. And I'm sort of on the ground floor with the work that they're doing. Now, I don't know if that incident was done by someone deliberately to set this off, or if this is simply something that was taken advantage of. I was contacted after the building fell.
Can I get a sense of who he might be talking about by opening myself up to the floor?
Interesting. So kind of using the psychometry kind of thing, or what do you think you're doing here?
So, well, interestingly, I was reading through psychometry. Psychometry is explicitly about emotional residue of a place. It's about
Yeah.
assessing a location, and I don't know that that really works here. But I was wondering if I can more or less do a basic assess.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, with the fictional positioning that you've got there. Yeah, let's have you roll assess.
Yeah. Do I still want to be mad about this? I think I do. Yeah, no, she's still mad.
Okay.
An 11.
So on 11, you get 2 hold, and you can spend that to ask a question or make a declaration. Like
Yeah,
you
I
have
guess
some kind of insight that you'd like to state that you're getting here.
yeah, that's what I want. I kind of want to read something from his surface level thoughts or the particular words that he's chosen to use. He used specific phrases. I'm wondering if those kind of trigger something in Cora as to who
Sure.
might be like, what is the next step?
So do you want to make a declaration about what that next step is, or do you want to ask a question?
No, I will ask the question.
Okay.
Of,
which is? You've got a second hold, so don't worry. You've got to
no,
have a follow up.
Yeah, that's fine. So, oh, I kind of want to ask the question of, can I feel like who contacted him in some way, shape, or form.
I think that you will get like a flash of like a logo for just a second. Like a uh, uh, a, a reddish star that is overlaid on a green star, and there's this kind of spinning pattern of static running around the outside of it. And you will know that it is the Church of Convergent Science. They are a political action church. They make their money from politics. They produce political instruments. They produce all of that kind of material that starts campaigns and works with issues and sells them and makes money off of that. So that's one hold.
Yep. Declare something as true in the fiction.
Yeah, you could say you know somebody, or you could establish a contact, or you could ask a question. It's up to you.
Well, I was real tempted to establish that maybe Axiom won't tell them about this incident, his contact at the church. But then more pressingly, I was wondering if we needed to establish that he's going to let us out of here. But both of those don't feel like revealing something in the fiction. They're kind of forcing the story in a particular direction.
I think you've already got the ultimatum like solved. Like you're going to be able to walk out of here, but he is probably going to tell people that you have been here.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take the easy option out then, and I will take +1 forward when acting on this information.
And he says, so we are cool.
You mentioned getting in on the ground floor. I suggest you get out of the building, Mr. Axiom. They have a tendency to fall over recently.
Point taken.
And watch who you call circus freaks.
He doesn't say anything to that, but he will let you all out. We're going to take our second break here so I can damp water my eye for whatever is going on here. So take 5 and we'll be right back. So, Ono, you said you want to go back. We'll roll back a little bit, have you do the assess, and then I'm going to check in with Trigger as well. So what do you want to roll that assess with?
How about power?
Okay. That'll clear for you a point off of fear.
So do you just flip flop them?
Yep.
You mark on the power and
Check power, remove fear.
Come on now, checky boxes. There we go. All right, let's giddy up here. 10.
That is a 10. So you've got 2 hold. You can spend one of those hold if you want to gain an insight on Axiom and have that in your repertoire.
That is 100% what I want to do.
Okay. And then you've got one more hold.
Let's go push on. Gosh, I didn't think beyond the wanting the insight. So sorry, guys. I was so fixated on that.
You declare a detail.
Yeah. I'm going to declare a detail.
Okay.
generally, I'm assuming it's going to be something that comes out of this sort of
something in the situation. I mean, you can declare, for example, to play off of what Cora said, you could declare that you can tell that he's going to be too embarrassed to actually tell his employers that he got rolled by three people that just wandered into his club. That would be a declaration. Or you could declare that you could tell that one of these people is actually, double agent or something like that. There's all kinds of things you can do.
I'm going to declare that I'd like I am going to declare that he is I like that first one,
Sure.
I'm going to declare that his reputation is so important to him that he won't let it be known that this went down or whatever.
And telling his employer potentially about you also puts his own contracts at risk. So you're pretty sure he's just going to let this go and let them, deal with you at some point. Anything that you want to do, Trigger, before we roll out of the building?
I think Trigger just asks, "Oh no," if they're okay. And clearly seems concerned about them, and also Trigger's voice has changed a little bit. It seemed a bit strange there in that confrontation, and I think that's something that Ono would have picked up.
Yeah, I'm seeing as we're walking away, because I think we're back to that point, I'll put my hand on their shoulder, or maybe even kind of that sort of around the kind of that pally sort of thing, and say, thank you, yes, I am, and again, I am truly sorry about yesterday.
No, it wasn't your fault. I was upset. Thank you. And it keeps walking and says, now let's, and then clearly doesn't want to talk about it anymore and just focus on.
So yeah, the three of you will roll out there. You're carefully watched by the bouncers and stuff, but they let you go, and essentially you can hail a cyber Uber and get out of there.
Seems like a plan.
Yeah. So we'll assume we cut back to the three of you somewhere talking about next steps. Or do we want to kind of cut back to the three of you individually and doing a once around? What do you think? Cora, you're kind of at the heart of this push.
Yeah, I want to diverge the information that I managed to pull out of Axiom's mind as we sit in the back of the cab. Actually, hang on. Let me just check.
Exactly.
I know that Ono knows that I'm an empath. Did we establish that Trigger knows? I don't think we did.
I thought we did, but I'm not sure.
I've used the flow to comfort you through a difficult life event, but whether or not you know what that was, I'm not sure.
Let me check.
I know Ono knows that you've been naughty with your empath stuff, but I don't know if that means that just it's not a
I'm not sure that Trigger knows.
Yeah.
I have a memory saying that you thought that all your companions knew something,
in some way, shape, or form.
In some way, shape, or form. Yeah. When you did something with Aina, I think this came up last session because they were it was the but they're only synthetic, I think. That
That's
is
right.
open to that, but I'm not sure if Trigger knows how much of what, if it's been explicitly discussed or if it's.
Let's frame that as you want to frame that right now, Cora.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, whether or not Trigger does know, I will divulge the fact that when he was talking, I saw something. It was the logo for the Church of Convergent Science. I think they might be behind this, but we need a better plan. We should at least discuss a plan before heading into the situation that was. We were lucky to get out of there.
Wise words, Cora. And he's actually genuine. He's being liked. I don't see Ono as a smartass. So
Okay.
I did wonder if that was a bless your heart situation. So, anyone have a plan? How do we find out what they're up to? How do we stop them?
What's the relationship, Lol, between the Church of the Magnificent Perception and the Church of the what is it? Convergence Science?
Convergent Science.
Yeah.
This feels like Lift the Veil.
Okay.
What do you want to roll that with? Now that you've cleared your spikes.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about like it's actually going to make a difference and not be another miss. But yeah, it's definitely. I think this is something. I think this is now peaceful. I think for the first time, like this game, I don't think Trigger's kind of found I think the madness is kind of subsided. So,
And this is kind of your wheelhouse. This is an area that you kind of know.
Yeah, that's right. And it's about something about kind of work related, which is kind of a bit more comforting.
Sure.
So this is Lift the Veil.
And remove one tick from mad.
And movement tick from mad. Instead of, do I mark peace as well, or do I just
you mark peace and take one off that.
And take one off. Perfect.
So on a 10 plus here, you get to tell me, like, what is the relationship between the Church of Convergent Science and Magpur?
Yeah, Magpur. That is a really good question.
Are they allied? Are they enemies? Is the church is Magpur a subsidiary? What do you think?
I think that they're rivals that do business on occasion when it suits them. And I think they're one of the more prominent rivals. Like,
okay, yeah, absolutely. Here is an opportunity for us to trigger another move here. I think it makes sense. There's a move on the other moves tab called Link, which allows you to introduce an NPC. So I think one of the things you could logically has a fallout is that you've worked with or you know someone from the Church of Convergent Science. How does that sound?
That sounds really good. I think, we established before that Trigger's kind of like in advertising, and obviously with in the more technical aspects as well, but in terms of like the veil manipulation and also so it maybe Trigger was not familiar with Axiom, but maybe had become known some, like certainly saw some of their work and appreciate it from a technical perspective, but I think knows someone in a similar capacity in the Church of Convergent Science.
So give me a name.
Okay.
And then we'll roll.
Cool. Let me just think of a name for a second.
Sure. The hardest part of the game.
Yeah. Moss.
Moss. Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you want to roll the link move with?
I'll roll it with, I think again, peaceful in this moment. Yeah. Like this is just work stuff. You know, they've had to collaborate on occasion where one of the few times where MagPer and Convergent Science were in a joint project and they had to coordinate their advertising, their marketing, their promotion. So this is when they contacted Moss and first introduced to Moss. So this is Link.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
So you kind of owe Moss.
Yeah.
Like you kind of owe Moss. So the way this works is there is a thing called your debt pool. So write in Moss's name in your debt pool and mark a tick on your debt clock. Okay. When you fill your debt clock, one of the people who's in your debt pool will come a calling. Okay. But you will call up Moss and Moss will say, "Hey, Trigger.
Hey, Moss.
What an interesting coincidence that you should call me."
Yeah. Why is that?
Well, I was just sitting around talking with Whiskey. She's a little upset. She came over here to talk with me. You know, we used to be tight before you and she. But she seems like she's I really she seems really angry. What? Sorry, she doesn't want to talk to you right now, but go on. What is it you needed?
I think this is in a conflict.
Okay, fair enough.
I think this is in a conflict. He's like, this is
sure.
this
Mark
is
that XP from the miss, and then roll in conflict.
I actually got fill up my XP.
I figured
track.
you did.
But I'll roll the inner conflict anyway.
Okay. With
now this is bad.
Okay. Roll with plus 2.
Bad. Yeah. I'll take that. So much for peaceful, right? Okay.
So that is an 8. So when we look at inner conflict, you can withdraw from the scene. You can mark another spike in mad and kind of keep yourself together. You can lose a potential, or you can overreact and make the situation worse.
I think we've seen Trigger do that already. So I think I think we're marking another spike in mad seems appropriate here.
So yeah, you keep yourself together. So what can I do for you?
Yeah, so Trigger stays on topic and well, Mars,
go on.
Tell me what can you tell me about? I've been hearing some things about a new economy in an economy of fear. Have you worked on anything to do with that recently?
We're old friends, so I can share this with you, in confidence. There's some really interesting projects going on right now. It's this new theory that's emerged. We've been manufacturing desire and scarcity and engagement, and there's some new stuff going on trying the inverse of that to see how working with certain negative emotions not intrinsically tied to consumption can be used to create demand. It's really exciting high wire stuff.
And can you tell me, was the that tower that's
Yeah, where your
that
parents lived.
collapsed?
Wow, that was tragedy. They're okay, right?
Yeah, they're okay.
Good.
But do you know if there's any projects that have involved the tower and the news that's come out of it? And again, Trigger's voice is changing a little here. But
Let's have you hold for a minute. I want to check in with Ono and Cora before I kind of answer that question. Ono, what are you up to? Kind of in the wake of this incident, Trigger's going kind of running down some people online, talking about next plans. What is it that you're doing? Are you talking to anybody, Ono?
I think he went back to retrieve his cart.
Okay.
And I think he went back to his sanctuary.
Okay.
And
what does it look like? Since the first time we're going to see this on camera, when you enter your sanctuary, what do we see?
So one of the tags I chose was it's the defunct building, or like the shell of a defunct craft or something like that. A disabled craft. I kind of like the idea that at one point in the past there had been some big project to create a new type of transportation of some sort, right? And I think that it failed miserably or whatever, and the shell of this craft that they were creating, right, was just abandoned and left there. And so that's kind of where he lives and where his sanctuary is, in sort of the kind of the belly of this big thing.
Okay. So you kind of have to travel to get to the place that's the entryway of it, and go down in there. And what do you do when you get there?
I think he has a part of it that's where he kind of lives. I think that one of the other tags is the phantoms or ghosts of the extinct order. So I think maybe only he sees this, but when he enters and he kind of puts his stuff away, as he kind of goes through his sort of rituals of like coming home and everything, you see these other like spectral individuals, right? And they are walking around, and they're in there kind of going about what appears to be what they're doing, and even to the point where he acknowledges them, and there's sort of, he's almost interacting with them through, as he kind of stows his gear. He's going about maybe making himself some food or something, and kind of settling in. I like that he maybe I like that he does this sort of meditation that is a combination of like what we think of as meditation, but also connecting to the veil, and like this sort of like opening his consciousness to everything, you know,
Okay.
including the veil. There's this sort of like that, and that feeds into what his order did. The veil is part of our reality, right? And so in their search for what is reality, what is the true nature of things, that's what he does. But I think when you see him enter, like maybe he sits cross-legged or he does something like that, you'll see many of the other spectral images sit with, like they're all
Nice.
like that.
Yeah. And I think we'll see you relaxing in there. You can clear the harm that you took because the first 2 boxes will clear after a scene. So we'll see you recover from that. Cora, what about you? What are you doing kind of during this downtime? Are you talking to somebody? Are you working on something? What do you think?
I think she wants to track down a building connected with the Church of Convergent Science.
Okay.
And park herself near it so she can just keep an eye on what's going on. She's gone from like white hot rage to kind of lower simmering kind of anger, but at the same time, I think there's a certain amount of despondency in this is not one person, this is not one thing, this is a corporation. How do you even tackle something like that? And clearly, walking into the building and pulling a knife is not going to be successful.
It feels like a sass. You want to read the place? You're kind of staking it out. Okay.
Yep. And I would like to roll it with sad. I'm spiking out all the negative emotions on the left here. It's going to be a fun time. Sad is +2.
Okay.
That's a 10.
That is a 10. So you can ask questions. You can make declarations.
I want to know if anyone that I recognize is coming in and out of this place.
So now, is that a declaration? Do you want to tell me that there's somebody that you recognize that's coming in and out?
I'm really tempted to throw my NPC in there and say that Mercury comes in and out.
Should we do that for that first hold?
Yep.
Okay. And I think that in the course of this, as you are waiting and watching there, you see Mercury, who you know and have interacted with in the past. And let me look again at the NPC stuff, and who is an empath. What do you want to spend your second hold on?
I don't know. Does anybody have a good idea for this? I don't have anything to ask.
We can roll it forward into a +1 forward if you want, because you had one of those before if you want, or we can sit on that hold and you can use it later if you want. Okay.
I can use it to gain a flow because of.
That's right.
Where this works.
Are you staked just for so you're staking out the church?
Yes.
Conversion science.
So these are the guys, the bad guys, the fear guys, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So let's come back then. We'll kind of put a pin in that. Let's come back to you, Trigger. And your friend says, how much do you want to know?
There's a pause on the end of the phone, or like, do we have, is this a camera kind of
We'll
like
assume there's some
some
kind of video chat. It's all cleaned up. So, any blemishes and stuff are cleaned. It's all. very constructed. He's got it set so you can only see him. You can't
I can't see Whiskey in this
Right.
frame. Yeah. And I think Trigger like pauses, like clearly like looking through the camera, and then just like leans closer and says, "Tell me everything."
what's in it for me.
Oh, and this like I don't want to say this, but Trigger's gonna say it.
Okay, what's Trigger going to say?
What do you want?
How about you make yourself scarce for a week?
I don't know. Robert is on my case at the moment.
Well, then I'm going to let you think on that. We'll have another chat about this, right? But you better decide soon. Bye-bye. And cuts you off. I think that's where we're going to stop actually for today. I think that kind of gets us some next step positioning here, if that sounds cool with everyone. Let's take a look. Cora, I think we hit your entanglement.
Yes,
And that also kind of ties into your drive. I don't think we hit your question necessarily, but I think 2 points from entanglement and drive. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Trigger, I think we definitely hit your entanglement.
Yeah.
And maybe your question as well. In
Yeah,
some ways.
I think the answer to that, I think Trigger's got thinks they've got an answer to that.
All right. So I think we'll give you 2 points for that. Ono, what about you? How do you feel? We're still working on your entanglement, right? You're muted.
I'm muted, of course I am. We had started to talk about being in love with Trigger's a sibling, if that's okay. I just didn't name the sibling because I didn't know if you wanted that honor. By all means.
Well, let's make sure we start our next session. We'll get that hammered out. We'll give you an XP for that because we had a missed session. But I do think we are going to hit your question a little bit. I think you are treading on stuff that is involving your past here, potentially. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
So that'll be 2 points for that. I would like to do a quick stars and wishes, in particular things that you want to hit on, talk about, do for the following sessions. Jonathan, I'm going to start with you since I put you through the ringer today. Anything stars and wishes?
Oh, heaps. Yeah, so much. Well, I'm just gonna go backwards. A star for Joe. I love the sanctuary, that visual imagery, and especially of like the meditation with the spectral images was really cool. I like that. So big star for that, and it was great to have you back. Like, I want to be clear that Trigger's accusation of Ono not being there had absolutely nothing to do with anything out of character. It was purely in character. So I just wanted to make sure that didn't take that in any other way. But yeah, so big stuff that and yeah, I love really keen to see more of Ono next session and hopefully Trigger doesn't fail as much. So then next session to give you that opportunity. A star for Cora for you, Mike, for Cora. I love Cora, like, and especially the knife scene was brilliant. Like, and I love that you went after, like you went after it as well, like leaned into the bad with Trigger, and I felt that was really had a lot of fun playing off that together. And lol, like they're star for all your hard moves, like they were perfect. I loved it. Yeah, you put me through the ringer, but I enjoyed every minute of it. So thank you.
Awesome.
And wishes for next session. Don't let up.
Okay.
Keep doing what you're doing. That's fabulous. And I look forward to engaging more with my Trigger sibling with Josie with Ono's entanglement, and I want to get some a confrontation or a meeting with Whiskey. I think we're kind of building to
Okay.
that. So something happening there, and yeah, more time together as the PCs together, which would be great with when Mona comes back.
Perfect. Cora?
Yeah, I had a great time this session, getting myself into trouble and dragging my friends with me. So, I want to star Trigger's ever-expanding network of his constellation of other characters around him. I just want more of that. I want to be drawing a giant map of ridiculous NPCs around Trigger. I think it's great. Having said that, and I don't want to necessarily directly contradict what Jonathan just said, but I kind of love the idea that we never meet Whiskey. The idea that just doesn't happen, and they become the new Maris from Jesus. From
great.
Frasier. But I could go either way on it. Like I'm not good. I really liked Trigger and Cora's firing each other's mad back and forth. And I also really liked that Ono was a balancing factor to that. I'm really enjoying Ono's more laid back attitude and the kind of vibe that I'm getting from Ono. So I'm hoping to see more of that, and I'm hoping to see that positively influence some of the hotheads that he's hanging out with. And Lowell, as always, just tying things back together, bringing out small details and connecting them. I think you are continuing to do a fantastic job with that. So I'm
good.
Wanted to star that. In terms of wishes, I haven't played in many systems that allow you to declare things as a player.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to get used to that. So from a wishing perspective, I want to see more of that from myself.
Okay.
I love the Joe teased the idea of Ono ripping us out of a dangerous situation and back into the sanctuary. I would love to see that happen at some point.
Awesome.
Maybe not next session, but at some point in the future. I think that would be cool. Yeah, I think that's it. I had from the wishes section. I would love to have Mona back and get some.
Yeah, because there's lots of cool stuff with Ina's character, the Ina character. So I'd like to play that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ono.
Yeah. I also had a blast. I'll go in reverse order. Thank you, Lowell, obviously, for running it. And man, you always bring the hard moves. That's good. You really do. And it's a pretty, like, I know you struggled with your masks game, but man, you just like that game, there were some things where I was like, oh, okay, that just happened, right? So I love any game where I was caught, like, oh, okay, that just happened. That's good. So keep that up. I love that. I really enjoy the dichotomy too. It's semi-accidental, but I do kind of I sometimes I sometimes it takes me a couple sessions to fully embody my character, right? And it comes a little organically and how everybody else is playing. So I hopefully that will be, it seems like it's going to be kind of a fun dichotomy. And so I hope I really like that. And I really enjoyed, Jonathan, the scene with the getting pissed, right? I mean, that's I mean, the culture that we have here allows us to have that sort of, that sort of scene and feel safe in it. So that didn't rub me at all. Any pausing that I was doing was to try to get, I'm still figuring out, I was still figuring Ono out at that point. So and I'm very interested in continuing. I think Cora and Ono are going to have a kind of an interesting relationship, right? Because there's similar things about them, and I'm really interested in continuing to explore that more. Wishes. I also have a wish for me. That's funny that you said the same thing, is that and maybe this is something my wish would be to help us remember that, but like I could have used that other, I was thinking to myself, the places where we can add the truths and things like that are a good opportunity to further our drives and some of those sort of things, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking to myself that like those would be a great place to introduce a truth about my cyber tome or something like that. So I wish to try to, for me, I want to try to remember to use those, not about like so tactically in that moment, but like to remember to do that. But other than that, I think just more, right? I mean, it just it's one of the things I love about a game like this, is that it's hard to say exactly what you want, because the fun is letting it kind of organically happen to you a little bit. So
and it's one of the things I appreciate about cyberpunk game. Yes, there is a lot of room to come up with wild stuff and blend it together and then figure out the linkages later. I agree with everyone on wanting to have Mona back and seeing Ina again and bringing that character back in with this. And I'm looking forward to next week. And again, I thank you all for being patient with me for the last couple of weeks. And I'm very excited to see this go forward. I'm going to stop the recording.